Good morning to everyone out there. Main question we wanted to answer today is how to know when your fig tree is dormant. So reason why you'd want to know that is some people are either they want to just know when they can prune it, or they want to get cuttings so they can propagate. So the most ideal time to get cuttings to propagate is when it's fully dormant. You can do it any time really throughout the year, but most ideal, most success in propagating is when it's fully dormant. So how do you know when it's fully dormant is the question. So we're in the Fraser Valley, one of the few places in Canada where you can grow a fig in ground and it will bear fruit and it will survive above ground throughout the winter for the most part, unless we get a really harsh winter. So it'll survive above ground. So right here we have a Chicago Hardy variety of fig. You can show that a little bit, what I'm pointing to. This is Chicago Hardy. I've trained it more like a bush style instead of like one, stalk with a tall tree. Right from the ground, bush style. Chicago Hardy likes to do that. It's known as one of the most, or the most cold hardy of figs. So in Canada, this is a good option. So how do you know if it's dormant or not? Some people would say, oh, the leaves fell off, so my tree is dormant and it's good to take cuttings. So the leaves fell off of this guy here about end of October for us. I think that's when the leaves fell off. So you'd think, oh yeah, it's dormant. But if you go to cut it, what you'd see is that we went to make a cutting actually. So right today we're on December 28th. It's just about the next year. And we went to get cuttings about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And when we cut it, there was still sap. My kids call it milk. There was still sap flowing. So that's a sign that it's not dormant yet. So let's take a cutting today. Now that we've had about 2 or 3 nights where it's been below -2. So Fahrenheit for those from basically the United States only are still on Fahrenheit. Maybe odd other place you'd be maybe, I don't know, in 25, 26 Fahrenheit. You want that for a few nights, and then that's more likely you're going to be dormant. So let's do a test check here today though. So in general with this tree, what we've determined or realized is we were trying to go too big. We were trying to allow too many branches to grow up. In total, I think I have like 12 or 14 that I'm attempting to allow to grow. So this year I'm going to prune it back quite a bit more and maybe only go for like 8 main branches in total. So we're going to cut back for sure this one. You see how I trained this one? You can train figs however you want them to grow. You can make them grow. I tied it up. So this was trying to go too big. So we're going to just take this whole branch off. We're going to try to focus the energy this next year to really focus in. So one way you could test if this is dormant or not, if you have figs that have not yet ripened or didn't ripen in time, you got to pull those off. If it is not dormant, you'll actually have some milk starting to drip out of those. You want to come and zoom in on these real quick? Let's just see if there's any. So there's actually a slight bit of milk that's dripping on that one, a slight bit of sap. Are you able to zoom in to show that sap that's dripping? Does it show it? So that is actually a sign that we're maybe not fully dormant yet. This is also an interesting test of a cold hardiness of a fig plant, because ones that are not as cold hardy, they'll go dormant sooner. But the Chicago Hardy will actually not go dormant as easily. So that's actually a sign that maybe we're not ready to cut yet. But I'm going to take one cutting just to show what it looks like. And I'm not actually going to go for that big cutting then now based off of what we just saw, but I'll cut off this small shoot here that I had just let grow for fun this year in the middle here. And it's not as massive. So I have 2 tools that I like to use. This just hand snipper, or this is like a pull saw, Japanese pull saw. And I might be able to get this with the snippers. Let's just check it out. All right, down low. I'm just fully removing this one this year. That was just a 1-year whip I let go. Okay, so for anyone interested in pruning, these are two-year. This is 2-year wood. This is 2-year wood, and then here's 1st-year wood. And this was just a whip I let grow from ground level this year. So this is a 1-year whip. So here's the test of dormancy, okay? How are we looking? Don't let your saw's metals touch. Okay, how are we looking here in terms of, you come in real close into the wood. Oh, you need to zoom in right on the wood. How are we looking in terms of sap flow? And I don't see any. Usually you'd have a bunch of white in the middle and you'd actually have sap dripping out. So that shows that we are very dormant, not like 100%, still a little bit of signs. So let's do actually one more cutting. This was really promising to see. It was probably a bit more milk drip here, a little more sap drip. Yeah, I can see a drip here. I'm going to show that for a sec, because it's hard for you to reach. Here's a little sap drip from when I pulled the, see that sap drip from when I pulled one of those little figs. So that shows it's still not fully dormant, and it might be because that's greenwood up there. It's more greenwood, and not brown hardwood. It hasn't fully lignified is the word. Lignified means when it turns brown. Up there, it's still green. So let's take a cutting now off of this more massive one. So this is still 1 year growth, and I'm gonna totally cut it right here, and I'll use the pole saw. We're going to fully take this whole branch off because we want to focus the energy this next year. All right. And this gets a nice smooth cut using a pole saw like this. Okay, so I've done attach this, detach. Let's check out this cutting. You can already start coming in closer, and you want to tap the screen to let a focus on this. This isn't coming off. All right. How are we doing? So you can see the inside there, that white part. That's the sap flow, but it's pretty much come to a halt. There's like just slight signs of, but that's pretty much dormant. You could probably still get a few nights of cold if you wanted to. But there's just a video then on how to know whether your tree is dormant. You can do the test, a little cut, a little nick even on a branch to check if there's sap flow, or you can just take one cutting and see what happens. But this is a good sign of dormancy for Chicago hardy fig. Now it might be a sap flow up here. The green branches probably still, yeah, there's still a little bit of sap flow there. But that will still, if it just sits for a little bit, or you cut this into 6-inch pieces and then put them in the fridge for a few weeks until you're ready to plant them, or a couple months, this will go dormant, or the sap flow will stop in the fridge. So you can already take cuttings off of this guy. All right, so that's how to know if a fig has reached dormancy. If dormancy is a good thing in life, sometimes you need to take a down season, a season of rest in life.